everybody, I'm Blue, and today we're gonna do a little bit of a low energy video. My apologies, but I spent the entire weekend sick and I just don't have it in me to go all out. So instead, we're gonna do a very simple video. I'm gonna talk about some Pokemon stuff with some little sketches in the background, and we're gonna try to do this in one take and just see what happens. But without further ado, let's begin. Since Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, I've really liked the direction that the Pokemon Company has taken their advertising, which might be a weird thing to say, but I just enjoy that they're doing creative things with the Pokemon. One of my biggest complaints as an adult playing the game still is that they just don't feel like they have as much personality as they used to. And I mean all the fun little critters running around. You can go on picnics with them and give them treats or whatever, but it just never feels like you're really interacting with them or understanding who they are as individuals. I think the anime really helped with that. And I think that's part of the reasoning behind the new ad campaigns. How every single time they're trying to find new ways to really associate this Pokemon's identity before it's released. The whole My Friend Malamar campaign, so stupid, but so good and so effective. I find myself saying My Friend Malamar over and over again, and I hate it. Not because it's effective or because it gets stuck in my head even, but simply because I know when push comes to shove and we get to the game, Malamar is just going to be yet another one that you can capture and add to your team, and even if it has a story beat, it'll be over as soon as the beat begins. Which is so frustrating because these creatures all do have their own potential to be like the leads in their own game. So many of them have these interesting traits or stories that you could just so easily see, and I think that's what's so addictive about the Pokemon Company as a whole, is all of these little critters, you're gonna find one that you like, which that's not a very over-the-top or absurd statement there. You're going to find a critter you like when there's over 1,000 of these buggers now. But what makes me want to talk about this specifically is where the ads have been getting more and more interesting and more focused on character, the games have not. And that is inarguably what I am the most frustrated with. Growing up during the era of Pokemon that I did, the games used to branch out and do all sorts of weird and strange things. There was even an entire game that took place in feudal Japan where you were a conquering warlord aided by your Eevee. You're not gonna see that nowadays, you're just not. And of course, anybody that's talking about the personality of Pokemon games, what they're gonna mention is Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. Those games were teeming with personality, and you got so attached and endeared to these characters. I, for example, have never beaten a Sinnoh game, had little interest in them when they came out, and most of the designs just genuinely bothered me. I didn't like them at all. Then you play Pokemon Mystery Dungeon's Explorer of Time, and whoopsie doopsie, Skuntank's okay. I guess there's a few of them that are fine. And then I found myself liking these Pokemon simply because they had a personality. Something which just does not exist anymore. There aren't as many spin-off games, there aren't as many branch games. You're never going to get something as off the wall as the Shadow Pokemon series, because they just don't sell. And so over and over again, we're talking about profitability. You have to do it as bland and boring as possible. Bring back the side games, Pokemon Company, please. These were the times where you could be so experimental and really show the love that these creatures are capable of getting and receiving. Most people that I talk to about Pokemon, they'll be like, yeah, I play Pokemon, Scarlet and Violet was a buggy mess or whatever, and Brilliant Diamond Shining Pearl, that was a mistake. But when you really, really want to sit down and talk about it, the ones that people are talking about aren't the main series games. It's pretty much always the spin-offs, which is why it just bums me out so much that the series with all this potential is so pigeonholed focusing on its quote-unquote main series entries. And with the trailers that we've been getting, like the Victory Bell reveal or Grievard from the previous games, just these super spooky, sinister things. Oh, these bright, cheery Pokemon, how could they be so dark? When, the darkness is part of what people have always liked, those little underlying things like Yamask, you know? So these commercials, these advertisements they've been doing, show me that Pokemon knows and understands that this is some of their strongest abilities. This is the strongest thing that they can do, is showcase these Pokemon and what they're capable of and their personalities. And yet I know that when we get Legend ZA, there might be a cool human character or two, but you'd better believe there's not going to be a single Pokemon that you get endeared to because of the story. Which really is a shame, because they're Pokemon games. I want to love the Pokemon, and I want to feel and experience the world with my own eyes, and I just don't feel like that's the goal anymore. It's not the bright world of Pokemon. It's sanded down, polished off, just perfectly normalized so that anybody can enjoy. And I kinda am sick of it, and I know I'm not alone on that because this is a sentiment I feel a lot of people have expressed. But anyways, that's probably enough rambling for one day. But thank you guys for listening. It was kind of fun to just go off. And if you liked this video, let me know. And I'd like to play a little game in the comments, if you will, based off of the drawings you saw. Which Pokemon in the group do you think is my favorite? But without further ado, I'm gonna go to bed. You guys have a nice night, and I will see you later.